Your heart's beating quickly.
Click like, subscribe, join our Patreon page. Smash those buttons.
Take a look at this.
And
There's a video that's got over 500,000 hits since yesterday. And growing.
Who do I look like to you, Stanley Kubrick? Viral marketing, you can tell. Can we please get back to work?
Hellfire House is live streaming again.
Doesn't that mean that somehow or other this is all real?
yeah.
What do we do about it?
We're gonna air it.
To extraordinary things.
We're gonna let people see it.
Are you fucking crazy?
You really think you're gonna be able to outrun this guy if he wants to find you?
Don't tell me you suddenly don't believe it. This is what's happening. He's trying to destroy the whole fucking world.
There we are.
I'm not fucking Van Helsing, Eddie.
Ladies and gentlemen, have you read the new issue of Delirium? Well, you should. Seriously. Don't mess about. Serious. Have you read the new issue of Delirium?
Step right up, all you freaks, geeks, and cinemaniacs. From the heart of Hollyweird, California, at the epicenter of all things eerie and awesome, it's time for Charles Band's Full Moon Freak Show.
Our guest this week is real deal full moon royalty and a dude I'm happy to call a friend, the great Tim Thomerson. Tim started his career in show business as a character actor and stand-up comedian doing the club circuit in LA before being scouted by director Robert Altman to star in his 1978 comedy, A Wedding. That same year, he would star as the gender-bent Gene in the cult TV series Quark, and then star in other films and television like the meta-slasher classic Fade to Black, at least one episode of Fantasy Island, and my 3D action film Metal Storm. But it was his role as the no-nonsense future cop in my 1985 sci-fi thriller Trancers that Tim would become an instant fan favorite. Later, he would reprise his role as Death in future Trancers films, as well as becoming Dollman in the equally beloved Full Moon franchise. Of course, you've also seen him do his thing in other classic pictures like Catherine Bigelow's Near Dark, the really weird Sylvester Stallone Dolly Parton comedy Rhinestone, Sandra Locke's Rat Boy, and dozens upon dozens of other great entertainments. Tim Thomerson, welcome to the Freak Show.
Thank you very much, Charlie.
Where are your glasses? I thought you were going to start with your glasses.
No, forget that. No, thank you. Am I on?
You're so on. Yes.
Okay, so well, thank you very much, Charlie. I appreciate that, particularly those stats that you read off, particularly Rat Boy, Sandra Locke's Rat Boy. Yeah, that was.
I haven't even seen Rat Boy. I apologize.
Well, nobody saw Rat Boy.
Okay,
and Catherine Bigelow's Near Dark, and certainly. And Metal Storm, you didn't mention Metal Storm.
I did.
You
I
did?
did. I said Metal Storm. Yes, that's how you and I met.
And I got the hearing aids and the codger ears. Yes, that's right. It was in 3D, shot by Mac Allberg in a quarry somewhere out in where was that shot? It was out by
fuck remembers. Somewhere like a long drive past like
past
Vasquez Rocks or some shit. Mm-hmm.
Yes,
but just
we actually shot at Vasquez Rocks.
We did.
Yes.
Yeah. And it was Richard Mull's first film.
Right.
There's some good stories there.
Well,
thanks to me and shaving his head, he got
that's
the
right.
part
He
of
got I did
Night
that show.
Court.
Night Court, yeah.
You did Night Court?
I did do that show,
Okay.
yeah. I played a hippie who lived in a van. And that was 3D because we had to wear weird makeup, kind of a sepia tone makeup.
Yeah, I don't know.
That.
I don't know how much of that. I just know that for the technology at the time, it really looked really good, and it was fun.
The movie Mac was such a great DP.
Great DP, and we need a ton of light to make that 3D work. I mean, like people were burning up. We were already in the desert practically.
Well, what was interesting about that movie, those two guys, there was one guy that really didn't have an arm.
Right.
And I think they were both from San Diego.
So I don't remember the name of the actor, but the character's name was Ball. And at a certain point, his arm gets ripped off.
Right,
and,
right.
You know, if you see these movies, because I made two movies kind of close to each other, both in 3D. The other one was called Parasite, which was Demi Moore's first one.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of things you would do for the 3D effect, like sticking things in the camera, and the guy's arm got ripped off.
Right.
But when you watch it, like you don't know that. It looks like, why are they doing that shit? So, but Metal Storm has interesting stories attached to it. It was also Kelly Preston's first film.
That's right.
And poor thing, then passed away recently.
Kid from Hawaii. She was from Hawaii.
She was.
Yeah.
And literally just a few months ago, I mean, I'm sure some people know the story. I go to the movies with Robin. We wanted to see some ridiculous rom-com film. So we saw, whatever the hell was it called? What was it called, Brooks? Fall Guy. I thought, okay, this is going to be fun. So we're there, and a few minutes into the movie, they're making a movie, and a movie looked kind of familiar. And then they call that movie within the movie Metal Storm. And then they had faux posters of Metal Storm, and the copy line was our copy line, high noon at the end of the universe. And little by little, we realized that the movie within a movie was our movie. And had no clue, no mention, no acknowledgement.
Well, that's why I saw the little thing on the show, and I saw you mention that. So when the movie came on demand or whatever,
right.
I watched it. I went, wow, it really is Metal Storm.
It is.
And they kept mentioning it over
and they mentioned
over
it endlessly. So
it was pretty cool, I thought.
Yeah, it's cool. It'd be cooler if the new movie was not kind of a flop. It kind of did not do very well. It kind of took a dive, yeah.
Although I like those guys. I like that.
I like everything
Emily
about
Blunt's is a really good actress.
They both are. They're wonderful. They're
but
fun.
In the original movie we shot, Jeffrey had his hair straight back. If you remember this. And I remember one day I had like a Richard Boone, like Cassius sort of Roman haircut.
Yeah.
And I went, well, this is lame. I don't want to. So I slicked my hair back. And you went, no, don't do that.
I said that?
Yeah, you said that. You said, no, you're gonna throw focus from Jeffrey. Because
really, that was ridiculous.
Because if I had my hair down like this, and Rhodes was like this weird mercenary guy who was pissed off smoking cigarettes,
right?
And was into the grog, not unlike myself at certain times in my life. But at any rate, I distinctly remember you saying, "No, don't do that. Put your hair back down."
Well, later on, you did that exactly for Jack Death.
That's right. Death.
Dry hairs for squids, dude.
Jack Death is such a weird phenom thing. I have this cousin who was one of the first woman chat show hosts in England, Breakfast TV.
Okay.
And she was telling me that there was a certain theater in London. It was like Rocky Horror Show that showed trancers like every Friday night.
Really?
And people would go there dressed like Jack Death.
Sure.
And talk back to the screen. And I'm going, really? This thing had like such a third and fourth life.
It did, and it still does. When I go to the conventions, I mean, a lot of people come up about just their first time.
Tim Thomerson's still alive.
No, they don't ask that. They always say like, "Where's Jack Death?" But I, of all the many movies I've made and I've directed, I have to say, and not to put any of the other movies down because I had a good time on a lot of my sets, but the best time I had was actually on the set of Trancers 1 and 2. 2 was even better because we had Megan Ward and Helen Hunt, both your wives in the movie. And there was a great dynamic there.
Not uncommon in my life.
Well, it was just so much fun. And, you were cracking jokes. We were just laughing all the time. That was really a memorable experience. But I want to go back to Metal Storm, and I want to skip past 10 years.
Okay.
So
Metalstorm, excuse me, what year was Metalstorm? Like,
I need a third person here who has a memory, because mine is kind of gone. I want to say 1980.
Okay.
80, 81, somewhere in there. But it was for my company back then, it was a big movie. I mean, and we were very lucky that what happened was Universal was releasing Jaws in 3D.
Right.
Okay.
And it was the third Jaws, right?
Jaws 3D. Yeah, it was Jaws 3 in 3D. And in order to do that, they had to equip the thousands of theaters that opened in with a silver screen and a special lens. And the fellow who was the head of Universal at the time, a guy named Bob Ramey. Bob
Ramey, yeah.
Bob and I already knew each other because he was the one who picked up Parasite when he was running another company prior to that called AFCO Embassy. So Bob bought Parasite, and it did well. And he got wind that I was shooting another 3D movie called Metalstorm. And, this is one of these stories that happen once in a while in your life. In my case, 51 years making these fakakta movies, right? So a guy runs up to me on set, and we were in a sand quarry, as you know.
Right.
This is pre-
Fillmore. We were in Fillmore.
Was that guy? Good memory.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I just know we drove there, and it was sand and shot a movie. But anyway, this is back, which people can't understand today. No cell phone, no nothing.
Nothing.
So because of an emergency, we had to have a phone. So there was like a little shack at the quarry, and there was a hard line, obviously. And we had a production person there. So he runs up to me, says, I shouldn't be interrupting, but Bob Ramey's on the phone from Universal, wants to talk to you. And I'm like shooting. And it took 10 minutes just to get to the little shack. Right. So I went over there, and he says, this is a Hollywood story. He goes, Charlie, I hear you're shooting a 3D movie. We're going to have all these screens set up, so why don't you put together some footage, and if I like it, I'll buy it from you. I'll buy it right away, because we want another movie to put in the theaters after Jaws 3D runs its run. We already spent money, so we need another movie. And I hear the movie's good, and I like your work. I go, okay. So we're 3 weeks into our shoot, and that weekend, when we had a little time off, I went with the editor. And this is the old days in film and mag and splicing shit. Today's like, beep, 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 beep. This was like a whole bunch of shit. And we put together a reel of whatever we had. It went over to him on Monday. I was back on set, and he offered, I think it was $1,800,000 for North American rights, which was like a boner amount of money. It was like fucking great.
That's big money today.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So well,
I mean,
it's good money today, but for me back then, and that actually was one of the things that helped fund Empire when I started Empire, was that great deal with.
But that was under Empire, yes.
No,
had Empire started yet?
No, Empire was just beginning. Empire
began. The name in your head floating around.
Empire started with a movie called Ghoulies, with the little monsters. But anyway, back to Metalstorm. How did we meet? You just came in an audition.
I was trying to remember how that happened. I must have come in an audition, and then I forget the guys. Was it Perry?
No, I think it was Joanna Ray. Was the casting
Joanna Ray,
director.
Aldo Ray's wife.
And the reason why I can't, her assistant on that show was Debbie Dion, who then became my wife.
That's right.
Yeah. And I think you went out with Debbie.
No, did I?
I think you kind of had something going on, and maybe you didn't. Maybe you had a drink. Maybe.
I
have no idea. I just kind of remember.
Back then,
this is before Debbie and I were a thing. This is Debbie was.
You became a thing on that movie, if I'm not mistaken.
We did. Yeah.
But that I don't remember, nor will I cop to that at all, certainly in front of these people. But whoever you people are. But at any rate.
But it was Joanna Ray. She was the casting.
I'm trying to remember, was it on Fairfax and Melrose? Was that the office? Was that the offices?
Our office?
Yeah, where I auditioned at.
I don't remember them.
Okay.
I don't think it was our office. I think she had a separate casting.
Okay.
Thing. But in any case, all right. But I do. The reason why I asked this is, during that time and later, the most fun I had was going to the Comedy Store, the Laugh, all the different. I saw you.
Oh, really?
So I remember when you auditioned, I was thinking, and then Joanna later told me he's a stand-up. I said, I've seen this guy. He's really funny. You were like the perfect mix of awesome dude, handsome, and funny. Well, you had those qualities, and that's why people love you, Tim. It's true.
Well, thank you very much.
It's true.
I appreciate that.
It's fucking true. You got like a thing. What is that? Is there like a sword? Hold it up higher. Yeah.
This is my. You better stay away from me. God damn it! You'll never know what's coming out of here. No, this is a stick that I use in case people come near me, and I don't like them. So it's a.
No, I like it.
It's They rebuilt my foot, so I have to use this for a while until I'm.
Well, you were, you know, even back then, you were a super like surfer guy and runner guy. You were like
well,
action healthy guy.
Yeah, well, yes, that's because I was in the daytime, but at night I drank so much.
Oh, really?
No, yeah, I was a cocktail artist, sure, you know.
Cocktail artist.
No,
See, I lived the entirely different life. I was moderate. I didn't go to Hollywood parties. Didn't do drugs.
I never
light
went to
light drinker. No exercise really, other than walking.
You drink the vino, right?
Yeah, but I didn't drink a bottle.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you ever drink a bottle at night?
Well, sure, a bottle of vino. Was you kidding?
Did you get into a second bottle?
At times.
Jesus
well, there was
Christ.
somebody else involved. You know,
Okay.
Not by myself. I'm not gunning a bottle of grape. You know. But remember Brian James, the actor Brian James?
Yeah.
He and I kind of started together. So Brian and I, if he got a job, we would celebrate. If he got a Gunsmoke or
Right.
FBI,
Right.
you know, we would go out and get.
So, putting aside our endless careers together and movies, so you're doing Metal Storm. You're a working actor. You're in Fantasy Island. I mean, what was that like?
Oh, it was unbelievable. I couldn't believe I got it. And Adrienne Barbeau was my girlfriend in it.
Oh, no way.
And I was just crazy about Adrienne Barbeau.
Really?
And she was so nice.
Was she married to Carpenter at that time?
I don't think she was. No,
Okay.
I think she was solo because a friend of mine later on said, "Hey, man, you know, she really likes you." And I went, yeah, "Come on, Adrienne Barbeau doesn't like me.
Right.
How could that be? You know, I'm married. I live down in San Diego.
Right.
She doesn't know who I am."
Right.
And then, well, I guess it was kind of true. I don't know. But I ended up working with her on maybe 5 or 6 times over the years.
Oh, really?
She
Oh,
played
wow.
my girlfriend or my wife. And, But she was such a sweet lady. But on that show, on Fantasy Island, you know, I was kind of a wiseacre back then. And so we were doing this scene, and I didn't know he was there, but Ricardo Montalban was there, and he was all, you know, Dick Montalban out, you know. You know, he was arching his brow and, you know, talking like this. And Tattoo was running around drunk.
For real?
For real.
The little dwarf?
Yeah, the little
Yeah, they don't
guy.
have a lot of capacity. They don't drink much. They get followed.
The guy had a sidearm. He had a little pistol.
Right.
He would walk around. He'd walk around like this, and he had this little pistol. I'm going, well, the guy's packing on a set. You know, this guy could shoot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was. Like
No, but it wasn't.
Well, it could have been. Who knows? What's this
Okay.
guy have a gun? Well, you know,
Right.
Don't fuck with me. Don't mess with me. I am Tattoo. And he would run up to the girls who were dressed like hula girls.
Right.
And he'd pinch them. You know, and run away. It was insane.
I love this story.
Oh, it was just so crazy.
Did you ever bang any of those girls? Did you ever
Well,
catch
that
a
I
little
don't know.
dwarf like banging the chick?
That I don't know. It's not a trailer.
Can't you make it up? Just tell me you saw it.
Yes, it all happened. No, but anyway, so I made some wise ass remark, and what was the plane? What was the guy's name? Mr.
Brooks?
Mr. What?
Mr. Rourke.
Mr. Rourke. He chimed in. He says, "You know, this is my set." And he was saying it right to me, like I shouldn't have been mouthing. I said something, and everybody.
Right.
I made some stupid remark, and you know, people laughed.
Right.
So through focus, and then we weren't even in the scene. We weren't rehearsing. We were just there.
Right.
And the guy got kind of hot about it. He says, "You know, I want you to know something that this is my set." You know.
Oh, no way.
And I said, "Yes, sir. I know that. And I'm a very big fan of yours." And so I kind of switched it around a little, so I didn't want the guy pissed at me during the whole shoot.
Tell me another dwarf story.
Well,
Come on. The fact that he's pinching girls?
well, he was in his cups. The guy was shit faced.
That is unbelievable.
And he was walking around, and he was all tattooed out, you know. And but he didn't seem to be a bad guy, but he was clearly in his cups, and
That
he
is
would
unbelievable.
run up like like little people do, you
Right,
know.
right.
He'd run up, and there'd be a girl in a hula outfit,
Right.
and he'd pinch her, you know, right where her obliques were, right. Where her, you know.
That's unbelievable.
It was pretty good.
Would that be easy to do today, or that'd be harder?
I don't
with the new awakening of.
Well, they would shoot you to death if you did
think
that,
you're
wouldn't
right.
they? They'd run them off
Kill
the
the dwarf.
set. But I remember it was pretty strange. And on that show, they would use all these old time actors.
I know.
And like I think Ray Bolger was in it, and Sugar Ray Robinson was in the show.
wow.
And I didn't realize this, you know.
Oh, because you weren't familiar with.
Well,
okay, but you did one
surely
episode.
I just went and did my stuff, but later
Right.
on when I saw who was in the show, it was Courtney that reminded me
Really?
who else was in the show. And what was funny was that Adrian, the gag was, her fantasy was that she, in high school, was kind of a heavyset gal. And I was, my character's name was Lance Reynolds.
Of course. That's perfect.
And I was like the football star.
Right.
But who was bald, right?
You were bald in this
Yeah,
thing?
I was bald.
They put a
so
skull
I had
cap?
to get there at 4 in the morning at Warner
geez,
Brothers.
Really?
Yeah, and they had to put a skull cap on
Right,
me.
right.
And I remember after them doing that, I said, take a couple of pictures because Apocalypse had just kind of came out, and I wanted to do a
Brando.
I want to do a Brando. I have it somewhere, but anyway, so I was doing the Brando thing. And so the fantasy is when we finally get together and we're going to make out, you know, she rips off my toupee and I'm bald and I'm going, oh my God.
That's
and
funny.
she's like in super shape and
Right,
really hot looking, you know.
So did you make out with her?
Yeah, yeah.
For real?
Yeah.
Like
Well, I mean,
tongues?
No. This is
I'm just
this
asking.
is network TV in the
Well,
70s,
whatever.
man.
I'm sure it
No,
happened.
There was no tongue back then.
I don't know about that, but
well placed back in the larynx. No.
Well, Adrian is
She's
not
such
only
a sweet
she
girl,
is,
such a nice girl.
I have moments in my career where our paths crossed, and you know, Carpenter and I go back to day one. He's a good friend. And
Did he do Star? Did you do Star? What was that first movie he did? Starlog, Star War, not Star War.
No,
What is it?
Dark Star.
Dark Star. Did he?
Yeah.
Did you do that?
I didn't. He
Because when that first came out, I was kind of taken by it. That was before
Yeah.
Star Wars. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This is the early '70s. No, he edited my first movie that I buried because it was an embarrassment, called The Last Foxtrot in Burbank. He edited it. He says it's his first job
Michael
in Hollywood.
Pataki.
Michael Pataki, yeah. Yeah, he played a pretty good Brando. But then we kept in touch over the years for all sorts of different reasons. But no, he was making, then he made Assault on Precinct 13,
Right,
and I
right.
was with the same distributor, Erwin Yablans, Frank Yablans' brother.
Yeah, I know her.
But going back to Adrienne Barbeau, many years later in the 80s, I made a movie called Cannibal Women in the Avocado Jungle of Death.
Bill Maher?
Bill Maher's
Bill
first
Maher
movie,
in there.
yes.
Yes.
And I found Bill also at a comedy club because I would go to those clubs.
He was at the
He
comedy
was doing,
store, the
yeah,
Improv.
I saw his act. So Bill was in it, Shannon Tweed, and Adrienne Barbeau. Those are the three leads. And the set was interesting because Gene Simmons was, horning around.
Gene
Gene
Simmons?
came, visited. He's not in the movie, but he came visited.
Oh, you
'cause
mean Gene Simmons, the rock and roll
the
guy,
rock and
not the
roll guy.
actress. Okay.
He was coming to the set because he was going out with
Shannon Tweed.
Shannon.
Yeah, right.
So you had, and he's a big hulking. He's there, and Shannon's like doing her thing, and Adrian was awesome, and Bill Maher. I mean, it was like a crazy
Right,
set.
that's-
It's actually one of the, it's a weirdo movie, and it's kind of got, but it's a fun movie. Yeah.
Kind of a cult deal. I
They're
would
all
imagine.
cult things, whatever the fuck that means. They're cult movies. Yeah, some do survive the test of time. All right, so Meadowstorm, I get all that, and then you did tons of movies in the '80s, but you played surfer weirdo dudes and.
Well, I did. Danny Bilson and Paul DeMeo did that Wrong Guys,
Right.
which were like Cub Scouts, which is a ridiculously stupid movie.
Right, yeah.
But it had Belzer and it had Richie Lewis and
Right.
John Goodman was in it. And
Yeah, I remember
Ernie
that.
Hudson and Brian James, Biff, and it was really a silly. Oh God, what's the heavyset guy's name that passed on? Was a great guy.
Oh, he doesn't matter. So
Yeah, he's
zapping back to the mid to late '80s. So
But yeah, I worked quite a bit.
yeah, but then you made a movie. It was another one of our movies called Zone Troopers.
Zone Troopers was fun. That was my first trip to Rome.
Italy. So
That's what I went to.
let me tell you how that happened. So I grew up in Rome and all that
Right.
stuff, and I was always, as my career was taking shape, I was always thinking I need an excuse to get back to Italy and shoot a movie. If we can just figure out how to shoot movies in Italy, it'd be freaking awesome. And luckily, around that time, the dollar was really strong. So you could buy almost twice the value of stuff that 5 years ago would be more expensive. So I thought, okay, the dollar's good. And I had a good idea that Danny Bilson and I all kind of came up with about, this alien ship crashing during World War II. And before you know it, we're in Italy making frickin' Zone Troopers,
That was
which
one of the best
opened the
times.
door because during that time I learned, and this is a long story, but the quickest version is I learned that Dino De Laurentiis, who had previously owned, still actually controlled, but that's a secret everyone knows. But anyway, he owned the Dino Città Studios, which was like Cinecittà.
Out in the country.
Yeah, out of Rome, a little
Yeah,
outside
yeah.
of Rome. And it was sort of sitting there because he had to leave. He always got into some weird trouble with unions. And anyway, so the movie studio, which was a 100-acre studio, that's where they shot Barbarella,
Right.
The Bible, it was for sale for a price.
I put my hand in the cement.
I know. Well, I'm getting there, dude. I'm giving you the backstory.
Go. Sorry.
So I heard that the studio was for sale. Luckily, the weirdo bank I was involved with, called Credit Lyonnais, they were also Dino's bank. And I'd met Dino once or twice at some film festival. And they said, if you can work out a deal with Dino, even though he technically doesn't own it, because, all the flim-flam corporations, they said, we'll help finance you, meaning Empire, my company, to purchase the studio. So suddenly I'm thinking, wait a minute. I can somehow get a 100-acre, 5-soundstage, gazillion-dollar studio, my dream come true at the perfect time. So I went to meet Dino, and I have several meetings with Dino, who was amazing. First, I went to his offices on Wilshire. He had a desk, was the largest desk.
Yeah, I know.
The marble building.
Office, yeah?
Right. And if you ever went into his office, it was a huge office. He had a huge marble desk. And when he stood up, he didn't really stand up. He went like this, and he walked around because he was a short guy. He was a short guy. And then we finally had a dinner, me and Debbie Dion, who was, by then, I think we were married, with him and his wife, Martha. And he and I in Italian. I mean, I really lucked out that I speak the language because, I was like wheeling and dealing in his language. And 2 days later, we did the deal, and I bought this fucking studio. I renamed it Empire Studios. And this all started with Zone Troopers because that's when I thought shooting in Italy is amazing. We all had such a good time. That was before I got the studio.
Well, we shot Zone Troopers before you got the studio.
Right.
And then Helen and I went back there to do...
we call it Transfers. It was like a kind of a half-ass 30-minute sequel.
Trilogy deal or something.
Trilogy deal.
Yeah.
So I got the studio, and we started shooting movies there. You guys came back to do the little Transfers thing. Richard Mull came back to do the frickin' section of Dungeon Master. We did a movie called Troll, with
you did Pit and the Pendulum too,
Pit and
right?
the Pendulum. Troll was with Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who recently I read saying...
Really? She was in that? Julie
First
Dreyfus?
movie, yeah. She almost got naked. We almost see her boobies. Which that's it's a prerequisite in most of my movies. The girl, so got to be some.
Well, I know you had to do that with me. I remember.
We saw your boobies, but she was in that movie.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah. It was her first movie, and recently there was an article. Someone sent it to me. Anything to do with the past, people send me shit, and she was asked because she's had an insane career. What was the worst movie she's ever been in? She goes, Troll. I thought, you ungrateful.
Well, I was doing a student movie for AFI, and she was on it, Richard Hatch, and it was like a for free deal. And she knew I was a stand-up. I had done stand-up comedy, and I volunteered to do this thing to my agent who knew these people. And she said to me, do you know this guy? I got to read for this thing. Do you know this guy, Jerry Steinfeld?
That's great.
And I went, yeah, the guy's a pretty funny guy. She said, well, I got to go read for this show. Do you think is he funny? I said, well, yeah, the guy's pretty sharp, and then the rest is history. So she got that deal.
Do you know I have the exact same story?
It's crazy.
Not with her. But this is one that I'm not sure if I've told you. So then we'll get back to Italy. So we're making Transfers, and Helen, we were very friendly. The first Transfers. And we developed a good relationship because also her father, Gordon Hunt, was a good friend of my father's, and he did theater and blah, blah, blah. So Helen and I had a routine until Debbie at some point got kind of jealous of having lunch and getting together, just as pals. We never, nothing other than that. So I go to a lunch after Transfers, and she was sort of like down on the industry. She said, I don't know, I prefer directing. I've got this particular offer and my manager. And she was kind of, like almost ready to give up show business, which you can't give up show business. I go, Helen, it's going to be all right. She says, yeah, and I've got to get this fucking audition. I got to leave in about an hour. It's for this TV show, Mad About You or some shit. And she said she was literally on her way to that audition. And I said, look, you never know. It may work out. It may work out. And the rest, like you, is history. She's fucking Mad About You, huge. And,
she then doubled down on it. They brought it back and did a retro thing on it. And,
no, I'm so happy for her.
Yeah,
and I mean, if she's ever watching this, she'll be so embarrassed to hear what I'm about to say. So we would give each other little gifts. Like I still have this little cornuto hand that she gave me.
What did that?
Yeah. Do you remember what my nickname to her was?
Yes, Starbucks.
Exactly. Starbucks. It doesn't play well today, maybe.
I don't think you can get away with that today.
No.
Who's ever listening out there, Starbucks is okay to say. But it's such a great call. because you had no monitor. You came from Italy, right? You're this kid that came to America. And all of a sudden,
if you say things, look, I'm lucky in that, I
tutti de box.
Tutto bene, tutti box. That's my dad. A lot came from my dad. And my dad had a funny way, and again, probably
your dad was a great man. I love that guy.
But so basically, Zone Troopers opened the door to Italy. Then I got that studio, and then we made it for a short period of time until we ran out of money, which is what always happens. We made a bunch of movies there, including Trancers 2.0 with you and Helen, and we flew everyone
that
in.
giant lady who was in it.
That's true. That's true.
Well, also on that show in the studio next door, Tex Cobb. Oh God, who was the guy that wore the quilt? It was the wrestler.
Rowdy Randy Piper.
Right. And Tex Cobb. They were called Convict Inc. was the name of it.
Okay.
And they were shooting right next door to us. And I'd already worked with Cobb on Uncommon Valor, so I knew him pretty well.
This is where?
This is in that studio in outside of Rome.
Okay. Okay.
So they're next door.
My studio at the time.
Your studio,
okay.
yes. And they were shooting something else there.
They were shooting another movie of mine, that Frank Yablans was producing. It was released as Buy and Sell, but it was shot as Convict.
That's
Convict,
it.
Yeah.
Convict Con Inc.
So it was released. It didn't do anything, but that was one of my movies that Frank Yablans, Erwin Yablans' brother. I mean, and they hated each other. That's a whole anyway. So they were making that movie at my studio. We were shooting The Trancers, we were shooting Troll, we were shooting From Beyond with Helen Hunt and Stuart Gordon, and they were shooting this.
Was Helen doing another movie there too?
That I don't remember. She just came over in my memory to do Trancers. But the point of all this is, at the same time, during these few years of luxury and madness, and if you can go back, I would say, well, maybe I shouldn't have done this and that and spent the money, because then you run out of money. But anyway, if you remember, I also owned this insane castle.
Oh, this was unbelievable.
I
loved it. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. And we had a party there.
I remember that party.
The party, you were there with Helen, Rowdy Randy Piper was there.
Yes.
Yeah, he was there because we had the cast of all these movies at the same time.
And who was the actor that played the young actor that, his father's... real famous character.
Carradine?
Carradine.
Yeah, Robert Carradine.
Bobby Carradine.
I'm the worst with a lot of names.
Well,
my memory.
He was there.
Yeah,
he was there.
Yeah, no. It was a celebrity central in a medieval castle, an hour out of Rome, with people serving food and everyone's drunk.
You had a moat. You had the whole deal.
There was no moat.
Oh, there was no moat.
No.
Okay.
Sorry,
it was a fight.
Fucked up on the moat. But it was. I lost it eventually because of money, obviously. But it was the largest castle in Umbria. It was 100,000 square feet. We were all on the terrace. We had bacchanals and food. And then shortly thereafter, I went back there, even though I had the studio, and we shot Pit and the Pendulum.
Right.
With
Lance
Hendrickson and
the Madman British
yes,
actor.
who was amazing to work with, and Stuart Gordon, the director. Then I shot some other movies at the castle. I shot also with Stuart Gordon and Barbara Crampton and Jeffrey Combs' Castle Freak, which was another one of the favorites in the full moon oeuvre. But no, that party was memorable. And I will also say that my son, Alex Band, who was 5 or 6, if you remember,
yes.
This is 80s, so we're playing all this 80s music and Madonna, and he got up on a table and he danced. And not that many years later, he signed a contract with RCA Records and had 2 #1 hits. He had a huge, the band was called The Calling. This is around the year 2000 when I think the first CD came out. They sold millions of copies.
But he was always a music kid, yeah?
He was, but I'm just saying he still is touring and everything. Of course, like everyone else, when the music business kind of fell to crap because of, streaming and digital, and no one could sell CDs anymore.
Right.
Everyone went through a hard time. He did as well. But I still have the tape of you talking, of Helen, of my son dancing. Yeah, I've got the whole frickin' thing on video.
Well,
which I should release one day, right?
You took me down to the dungeon, and there was
Yes.
some prosciutto hanging there. And you said people will get killed if if anybody touches this piece of ham.
I didn't say that.
Yeah.
Well, I was probably
you were embroidering it, and I'm embroidering it for the people. But anyway, but it was like this incredible piece of ham hanging there, and I said, "What's that?" There's a dead pig hanging up there. You know, he said, "Oh, they prosciutto. They didn't want to." You did a lot of
no,
this
it was
stuff. You know?
no. I will. I promise everyone who's listening. I was like, I shouldn't do this.
This
but
is an amazing. This is
I-
a great party.
I do have probably altogether 10, 15 minutes of all of us on the terrace, and you saying, and Helen and Rowdy
to see
and the
that.
crew and Mac. I mean, everyone involved. We're all there.
Well, you know, you served. I don't eat fish. I don't eat fish.
Yeah, you don't eat bait. You used to tell me.
I don't eat bait.
No sushi, right?
No sushi. And you had ordered like a lot of fish stuff.
Probably, yeah.
And there were sheets of tiramisu.
Yeah, that's true.
And I ate like an entire sheet of it. And I got so loaded from the espresso.
Yeah.
And on the drive back, back to Rome, I'm like, we stayed outside of Rome. I think we stayed in a Holiday Inn or something. We weren't in. We were outside of the wall.
Okay.
We were in Mussolini's Rome.
Right. Well, EUR.
Yeah,
and the reason
exactly.
why is that was closer to the
wasn't
studio.
a bad place to stay.
It was closer to the studio. I think there was a logistical.
They used to go running with Rowdy around that neighborhood.
No way.
Yeah, yeah.
And what was the name of the black actor? He was also fantastic. He was one of the leads in Buy and Sell or Convict Inc. I forget his name.
Bill Duke?
I don't. I'm so bad with names. He was great. There were other people there.
And well, it was an amazing. I remember Helen had to go to the bathroom so bad, and we were driving back. I don't know if you were in that.
No, I stayed at the castle, dude. I didn't go anywhere.
And Helen was. I said, "Don't you want to?" Yeah. And she just for like 3 hours we're driving back to Rome.
Oh, Jesus.
And what's his name was driving. Bobby was driving, and he was pissed off. He was like driving like an Italian guy drives, screaming and yelling, and everybody's tail end. I'm going, God damn it, slow down.
I will get the video, but
that was a great.
But
party.
what happened then? Now we're kind of in the 80s, right?
Well, let me just finish with one more story about that particular studio.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember this, but if you go behind one of the stages, there was a house back there. There was like a restaurant.
Yep.
And if you pushed the fence, the fence would open, and you walk through the fence, and you go into this restaurant to eat. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that was part of the property.
Yeah. So I went in there, and I wanted some. I remember you telling me, no, they don't. I said, tell the guy I want a little bit of cheese on my salad. Right. And they don't. They don't do that.
No, they don't.
And the guy wouldn't do it. And I said, Charlie, tell the guy I want some fucking cheese. On my salad.
What happened?
And you kept saying the guy's not going to do it, man. No.
That is hilarious.
But the guy would. The food laws of Italy, they would not. Do it. It was amazing food too.
What happened was, it's not that interesting, but so this is 100 acres, right? The back lot they shot stuff on, and for 3 years we did some amazing movies there. I mean, I had Klaus Kinski there. It was a complete wild man, fucking wild man. He and David Schmoller were almost going to kill each other because he wasn't happy with the shot. So there's all sorts of stories within those 3 years, and a lot of them are in my book. Confessions of a Puppet Master, so people can read about this stuff. But what was cool about it is we had a bar. I mean, not a bar where you can get booze, but it was a bar where, like in Italy, you go and have a cappuccino.
Yeah, cappuccino.
So as people were going on breaks from the various sound stages, because sometimes we had 3 movies shooting there. I mean, it was great for a while until the money was gone, right? But people would hang out at the bar. Hey, how's it going on your because everyone was on a different shoot. But on the property was an old house, the farmhouse you're talking about. And
where the restaurant was.
The restaurant was. Yeah. Now, I had nothing to do with the restaurant, but the studio owned the house. It owned the property. And the deal Dino made years before I came on board was they could operate the restaurant and free of charge because it's, in the middle of kind of nowhere. But that was a cool place to go.
Oh, man.
It was like a full-on old, cool restaurant.
And unbelievable food.
Unbelievable food.
Yeah, it's just,
But then so now this is the 80s. So, I mean, we're still 40 years away from now. So we're piano. So now we're back in the States. Empire ended because of money and silliness. And I started Full Moon. That's when I started Full Moon. My first Full Moon movie was Puppet Master, and I had a deal with Paramount. And luckily, Puppet Master did great, and I did a multi-pick pack with Paramount. We were making a Full Moon movie pretty much every month. So then we went and made another Trancers movie, which was Trancers 2, early 90s, 90, 91, and something like that. And by then, Helen was, a big star. She was on.
She was starting to
Well, no, the show
Well,
was
she was
out.
doing
Mad
movie.
About You. She was
Well,
making...
no, the third one she was in Mad About You.
Oh, no, you're right.
Yeah,
I
the third one,
apologize.
the-
Yes,
that
yes.
Courtney did.
Yes.
The
It was
second
after-
one, she was budding. She was
yes,
starting to
right.
get roles, you know,
so
movie roles.
Then I'll get back to Trancers and then Dollman. But yeah, you're right. So I got my movies mixed up. But after Trancers 2, which we shot as the first full moon Trancers movie, she exploded. And then we were doing Trancers 3, which Courtney was going to direct. And it was important because of the way we wanted to tell the story that we had Helen in there for her character, just for a day or two.
Right.
So I remember Joanna Ray or whoever it was, or maybe Bob and Perry, whoever it was, they called and the agents were like, you know,
yeah, I know.
she's making more money a week than our fucking movie costs, right? But then I called her, and to her credit, she said, "Fuck those guys," and she did it for scale.
I know.
Good
Yeah,
for her, and good for you,
was-
Helen Hunt, wherever you are. Starbucks.
Starbucks.
Stay tuned. There's more Freak Show after this quick break.
One moment, please, ladies and gentlemen.
Man can't ask much more than that, can he?
That I really like.
And now back to the Freak Show. Anyway, so rewinding. So we're having this success at Paramount with Puppet Master, Subspecies we shot in Romania, Trancers 2, Trancers 3. Eventually we sent you to Romania.
No, we went David Nutter.
David Nutter.
4 and 5.
Yeah. But before that, we had another movie out that did really well called Demonic Toys. About these little fucking toys.
That's right.
And
then that's when you brought that.
Then I said, Tim, this is not Trancers, this is not Jack Death. Can you play a 12-inch pissed off, you know, Clint Eastwood type, you know, Schwarzenegger character who crashes on Earth, and on his planet he's bigger than life, but here's a fucking 12-inch doll. It's called Doll Man. And then we made Doll Man.
Well, you know, that Albert
also passed away recently.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And
Albert Pune.
And that's where I met my current wife, Terry.
Oh, I didn't know that.
She was the makeup artist on that. Terry Blythe, she was the makeup.
You're lucky, man, that you had that chick in your life.
Oh yeah, I'd be,
good for go Terry, wherever.
Living downtown somewhere in a Bisqueen hut.
Okay, wait. So you met Terry?
I met Terry on that in 90.
Okay.
I think because I was after Air America.
Well, it was 92, 93. It's in the early
93,
90s.
Yeah. Was it 92, 93?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was Air America. Yeah. And yeah, well, I didn't know how to play it because it was so close to Jack Death. I said, how am I going to do this?
Right.
So if the guy's 13 inches,
yeah,
I'll just be Clint Eastwood.
That's
That's what I did.
Right.
So I just did Eastwood as the little guy.
Right.
And that, once again, Mac shot that.
He did.
And it's an incredible looking movie.
Did he shoot it?
I think he did. No, it was George Meridian.
Oh, he had a wonderful photographer, but
whoever it was, but it was another weird little cult movie, and that thing blew up into a cult movie.
Well, I love that character. And during that time, I learned a lesson because people were saying, you got
no CGI stuff back then. There was none of that stuff
This was
existed.
all forced perspective, in camera, no trickery. And it looked great. It had a gritty, organic look. And I wasted about a year of time shopping along with an executive who was in the business, like a showrunner, Dollman to be a series on television. It was a perfect series. Dollman could get into 8,000 frickin' adventures. And eventually I had a deal with CBS. And anyway, I wasted so much time. I thought, this is not for me. I'm used to coming up with that idea, making a movie 30 days later. Right. So I never did that, which was frustrating because I love that character. But Dollman did well. And around the same time, Demonic Toys did well. And I thought, we have to do a crossover. This is now today everyone does it in Marvel Comics, but back then no one was doing that shit. And I was always inspired by, Marvel Comics, the early ones. So I said, Tim, and I called you. I said, how about Dollman versus the Demonic Toys? And then I thought, to make it more fun, by now you're 13 inches and horny. You've been on Earth forever. You need doll chick. You need a little girl.
It was a little chick.
What was she wasn't. I mean, she was a 6 foot beautiful actress.
Like a model /
She was, and I think she was Mick Jagger's girlfriend for a while. Who the fuck knows? There's a history, but the reason why she was the one who became doll chick, because I'm always trying to tie the series together, is I had made a movie with Ted Nicolau, my close friend. We go back to the 70s. Called Bad Channels. And in Bad Channels, this crazy radio thing and something from outer space and monsters, they shrunk 3 girls down to 13 inches in this movie, Bad Channels. And I thought, well, why don't we cast one of the girls, the actresses, bring that character into Dollman's life, and therefore you met Doll Chick. So I got the chick from Bad Channels, who we last saw in a tube. I forget how Dollman met her.
She was sitting on a box somewhere, right near like a big clown or something.
Yeah.
Remember?
So we had Doll Chick, Dollman, and then the Demonic Toys. And I have so many stories about that movie, but it was so much fun to make. I think the fans really love it.
And also the I don't want to say dwarf, midget. The
dwarf.
What was that little guy's name?
Phil Fondacaro.
Like the guy was he weighed like a ton.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's true.
So I had to do some kind of manhandling him.
I'm trying to
wrestling.
But
he was in that.
He was.
He was in that for some.
Brooks, am I right? Yes. He played like a security guard.
He was in. Somehow I had to
pick him up.
He was
move heavy as fuck.
Jeez, it was like a 500-pound guy, and I'm going, okay, come on, man, budge a little.
I don't remember that part too well, but Phil's great because that's another. But one day I'm going to have Phil here, but we've been trying to get him here because we made Troll. We made so many weird movies together. But back to Dollman versus the Demonic Toys.
Was this so, I'd have to hold the gun up there.
I know.
This, and it'd be like a big giant, ball or
so check it out. Then I want to hear any of your stories. So the challenge is, again, this is back before CGI, right? So we can't do any tricks. So if you are 13 inches in this movie, and so is Doll Chick, okay, and you have to fight, let's say, the Jack in the Box clown.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Now, in Demonic Toys, the Jack in the Box clown was about 16, 17 inches. But because we couldn't do any trickery, we had to build that thing.
I remember.
Like 8 feet tall.
Yeah, it was
fucking gigantic. Same thing with the Baby Oopsie was ginormous.
Yeah.
And I don't know what possessed me, but I thought somehow in this movie, Baby Oopsie's got to be banging Doll Chick. If you remember that. And we built this oversized dollhouse, and she was just beautiful.
Wait a minute, I do remember that.
Yeah, yes. Baby Oopsie's is fucking like Doll Chick. But to shoot this with you as a 13-inch guy shooting all these characters was just like
a little chicken shit gun.
No, it was great. And I think we made that pretty quickly too.
We did. I think it was really
a week
quickly.
Or something.
It was like a week because
it's all we could afford. We had to build a big kitchen set.
That was also the same, not studio, but it was like a warehouse.
Yeah, you have a good memory for that. To me, it's a blur.
They shot Transformers 3 there. And right during the riots, in the 92 riots, was shot there because somebody walked outside and got shot in the heel.
What?
Yeah.
During our shoot?
Not our shoot.
Oh, during something.
When Courtney, when we did Transformers 3.
Oh, okay.
Somebody walked outside and got shot in the heel.
I have no idea.
Right during the 92 riots.
But as Jack Death, you used to say, because after that,
Jackie Death.
You would say, we got to do a movie where it's, Dollman against Jack Death. You guys like
Dollman kicks Jack Death. Get out of here.
Yeah. Or the other way around. But for Dollman versus Demonic Toys, just tell us some of the moments because you were there with the freaking gun and the big dolls.
What I remember was just you had to really use your imagination in the sense that you had to, I really had to like point that weapon up, that big giant Desert Eagle, I think the weapon was, which is an Israeli pistol, which weighs like a bazooka. And so I had to hold that thing up, and it was a real pistol,
Mm-hmm.
It was so stupid because the guy's so little, he's got this big ass gun. and I remember I said, this is really stupid. I'm pointing this at this giant, Jack in the Box guy. Right. And then, then there'd be a big ball there. It was, we shot fast, and I remember there were a lot of laughs, and there was a lot of, that girl was actually a pretty funny, she was great in every respect. She had a lot of chutzpah and got the gag,
She did.
So I remember that being fun,
Absolutely.
Trancers 1 sticks out some real specific things, and Trancers 2 is insane because there were so many different characters, and there was just Jeff Combs.
That was so much fun.
Well, Jeffrey, which I always wish somehow if Jeff and I could have got together and had been some sort of detective combo guys, like, because I love the guy so much and I loved his work, and it would be such a fun combo for he and I to do something, because he was one of the funniest guys I've ever met, Jeff Combs.
He's a
really
wonderful actor.
And
Maybe
we
could still do something, kind of like a
Sherlock Holmes on acid or something.
Something like that. Kind of a more mature combo,
Well, he would do the best impression of somebody at a convention walking up to a table.
Oh, okay.
Oh, God, we were in Philly one time at one of these conventions, and he'd be a guy that would, he didn't really know if he knew you as an actor, or he'd be, he'd look at you, he'd go, look at the picture, and he'd look at you, and then he'd come over and take the picture and look again and put it back, and then walk away and come back, and it was hilarious.
I got to get him to do that routine.
The guy's really a fun. Well, have you had him in here?
Yeah.
He's just the best. He's so fun.
Not in here. Actually, I did something with Jeffrey and Barbara before I started doing these.
When we was just a little tiny piece, and he and what was the gal that was in the Big British Girl? Big
I don't
Cheswick?
I don't
She was in one of the Bond movies.
Yeah.
Richard Lynch.
Yes.
And that little...
were you in that? Is that Puppet Master?
No,
were you in a Puppet Master movie?
No.
No? Okay.
Was I?
I don't know. Fuck remembers.
No, Trancers, Dollman, and Metal Storm.
Okay.
But when we were shooting in we were shooting in the old Camarillo.
Okay.
Which was the insane...
This is one of my movies?
Yeah,
yes. No.
Trancers
That's
2.
Trancers 2.
And
yes.
that was when it was still an active...
Yeah,
insane asylum.
Yeah, well, they call it something different today. I'm sure.
Yes, I'm sure they do. But what was really weird is, like, I remember doing a scene, and it was Hunt. No, it was Jeffrey, the British gal.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. And she was in a Bond movie. I don't remember her name.
Yes,
dark hair girl.
Yes, and there was the sort of weird little Texas actor. What's that guy's name? He's in a bunch of
Sonny Carl Davis.
Sonny Carl Davis, and he was in it.
Yes,
some kind of security guard.
Yes.
But every once in a while you hear some kind of just some god awful sound.
It's true.
And we were going, what the, So we were actually shooting.
We were. I loved every minute of it. I have a quick story about Sonny Carl Davis. Now check this out. Apropos liking to take characters from different movies and putting them in another franchise.
Is he like in every movie or something?
No, but he's great. And so here's what happened. So in Trancers 2, he played an orderly, and his name was Rabbit.
Right.
And he had Rabbit as a little name tag.
Yeah.
So 15 years later, I'm making a movie called Evil Bong with Tommy Chong.
I did that.
You made an appearance in it. Yes. Yeah. So did Bill Moseley. And anyway, so I'm making this movie, and there's a character in the movie that's the FedEx delivery guy, And the way it's written, he's kind of a suspicious guy, and he knows he's bringing the boys something not kind of evil. So I thought, oh, fuck, I don't know. We were auditioning. I said, well, wait a minute. Why don't I take the Rabbit character from Trancers 2 in 92, bring him forward 18 years, let him be the FedEx delivery guy. So he loved the part, and he came in. We dressed him almost the same. He still had the name tag Rabbit, right? Rabbit. And he walks in, he goes, it's the package you've been waiting for. And he was so funny with that shit grin smile of his. Then he became a main character in all the Evil Bong movies. You know, he became like the main
one of the guys.
Yeah, he became one of the guys.
How many of those did you do?
9.
9.
Yes,
with Cheech and with
no,
Tommy.
only the first one with Cheech.
Okay.
No, with
Tommy
Tommy Chong.
Yeah.
No, but then later on, the girls, Robin, you know, my now wife, and Sonny Carl Davis playing Rabbit, who was always getting everyone into trouble. We made tons of those.
Well, you know, Tommy, I knew Tommy and Cheech. The first, I did an audition in '69, or they called it Hoot Night, at the Troubadour.
Okay. Oh, I saw Hoot Night.
And it was Cheech and Chong.
Was it the Troubadour?
It was at the Troubadour. They used to have these, before they had like open mic night at the Comedy Store. They had Hoot Nights. It usually was on a Monday night. It was at the E Little Club or the Troubadour or some other weird place like the Ice House.
Right.
And then the Golden Bear in Orange County. But at any rate, so the first time I played or did what was sort of a half-ass act,
right.
Tommy Chong and Cheech were on stage.
So, but they were
Steve Martin was on first because he was the only working comic. He was the only guy that was really working in '69. That was out there working.
Wow.
And then Cheech and Chong did their gag. And then later on, I met them at a thing in Colorado. They had this big college. You audition for colleges, book guys into colleges. And I saw them first. And then there was another comedian named Tony Russell. And that was it.
Wow.
There was no comics back then, you know.
That's
and
crazy.
Steve Martin was like
Was he the headliner? Steve Martin?
Well, on that particular night, he was the first guy to go up. He was working out a new bit
right.
because he was a regular on the Smothers Brothers, right?
Right.
But this was in '69.
And I saw him at the Comedy Store. I saw so many great comics back in the day.
But back when we started, you know, they did this documentary on the Comedy Store.
I saw it.
It was pretty good. But when we started, like with Letterman and Leno and Pryor and Robin came later, and so did Leno. But there's like 10 comics.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like guys around the block wait 3 years to get on stage to go do
that's
5 minutes.
Pryor was amazing.
Oh, Pryor was.
He was like just.
he was so good to me. He put me in 3 of his movies.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was amazing what he.
Tell me about that.
Well, I met him at the Comedy Store.
Right.
And I used to do this black guy in my act, which I couldn't do today.
Why?
They'd shoot me.
Okay.
Can
you do a little bit now?
No, I can't.
Okay. Or whatever. It's the full moon. Do they understand? We go back some years. All right, so you did a black guy.
It would be a whole. I used to do this kid's first day in an all-black school. I can't do it. It's too weird to do.
Okay.
But and Pryor couldn't take it because I could really do this, you know, because I grew up with blacks and Mexicans and my, you know, being a Navy kid and bases, lived on Navy bases.
Sure.
And so Pryor said, "Damn, Tim, how you learn how to do that shit? How you know how to talk like that?" I said, "What do you mean, man?" I said, "I just, you know, I had black friends and yeah, but you're doing shit that, you know." And then I did Red Fox had a club called Foxes down on
Oh, yes,
Cienega.
yeah. I don't think I ever went there.
Reds, and I did the same thing.
Right.
And he flipped out.
That was predominantly black audience, wasn't it, or not really?
It was a jazz thing. It was
jazz
a combo,
thing.
you know, black and black and white folk together, you know.
What year is this again?
This is like in the early 70s, after I finished going to school in New York and came back, and it was all Stella Adler, all New Yorked out, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, still a shit actor. But my end was stand-up, you know.
Right.
And so Fox couldn't take it. He said, "God damn, where are you from, man?" You know? And anyway, so Richard was very good to me and a really sweet, nice man.
Oh, that's great.
He was such a good guy. And what he did for other comics, he did a lot of stuff. He did the big special on NBC. He used virtually everybody from the Comedy Store.
Really?
Me, I got cut out of the deal. He used Robin.
Right.
He used all the guys that later became, you know, pretty famous.
Isn't that incredible?
Yeah,
I
he was a really good man. You know, I was walking on the set of Paramount one day, and he and the director were walking out of the stage. And I'm, "Richard, Tim, you want to be in this movie?" I said, what is it? He said, "Hey, the director, I forget the guy's name. He says, put him in the movie, man."
What movie was that?
It was called Which Way Is Up. I played a Vietnam guy. Right in the opening of the movie, I get killed.
Bummer.
So, yeah. Well, but I was.
What about movies like you work with Stallone, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Well, he was great. I was the silliest Rhinestone with Dolly Parton and Sylvester Stallone. And
now I remember
Richard
seeing
Farnsworth.
that and not understanding what the movie was.
It was
exactly.
really the people in the South. They love it.
Right.
My dad's people in Arkansas. It was like going to see Ben-Hur or something for them. And Dolly was so sweet and so nice and sly. When we worked together, I mean, the guy's a really professional actor.
Right.
And so we had to do this whole scene, and I'd never worked with him before.
Right.
So we rehearsed it, and I'm a little tentative and a little nervous, and because I don't know, this guy's a weird personality. Or
right.
He was so cool and so nice to me.
Oh, that's great.
He's a pretty funny guy, also.
Did he sing? Who sang in this movie?
Well, he sang.
He
used his real voice.
Oh, he did.
Which was crazy. And but it was such a silly movie. Excuse me. And Bob Clark was the director. If you remember,
right?
He did
I do.
The Christmas movie. Very nice man. And it was the first time that I ever saw video assist. So we'd shoot a scene.
Oh, then run over and look
then
at
go
thing.
back to Video Village and look at it.
yeah.
And I'm going, and I'm used to old time. Hour TV. You shoot it, go, gun and run. Let's go. Next setup.
That video is those video assist days, and today it's worse. When that happened, it slows all of a sudden
everything down.
Yeah, you lose the rhythm. You're all there watching the thing.
Yeah,
and I think it doesn't help you as a performer.
No, it doesn't. You get the rhythm going in the scene,
right?
And all of a sudden you go, "Fuck, I gotta go watch this shit."
So like Near Dark. Any stories there?
Well, it was
Fade to Black.
Well, Fade to Black was that was Mickey Rourke's second movie.
Oh, I didn't.
And
know
I'd worked
that.
with Dennis Christopher in a wedding, and that was a pretty good movie. In fact,
people love that movie. Yeah.
The girl in it was Chris Pine, was married to Robert Pine, who was on Chips.
Okay.
Who was the head CHP guy on Chips.
Okay.
And that's Chris Pine's father.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So
okay.
we had to do this. I had to do this scene with this girl, and I play this police psychiatrist who's a cokehead and plays harmonica.
Oh, geez.
So that's my character.
Wait.
Not a big stretch, But, so anyway, we're doing this scene in this hotel down by the airport, and she was pregnant, and I had never done a nude scene. It was,
you were naked?
Yeah, well, like I had my shirt off. I didn't want to be naked. It was too weird.
But I mean,
she had her top off.
Boobies?
Yeah.
Did you do this?
No. I didn't
Why
do
not?
That. I just she was nervous, and I was really nervous. And the director, I forget the director's name. God dog it. I can't remember the guy's name. But anyway, so we had to do this makeout.
This was
scene.
your first
time ever
topless girl makeup.
Yeah, making out.
Wow.
She's married and she's pregnant.
Wait. In real life.
In real
actress.
life. Yeah, she's actress. Jane Pine. I don't know what her maiden name was.
Right.
But so we're doing this thing, and to loosen the thing up, the guy says, "Do one of your comedy bits." So I start doing Stagecoach and stuff. And he said, "Well, maybe we should have a little bit of wine." And I don't like to drink and work,
No.
It's like 11 in the morning, and I'm gunning some wine. She's getting shit-faced and pregnant.
Oh, no.
And she's pregnant.
Bad idea.
And it was like, but it all worked out. It worked out because I was super protective of her.
Right.
And I had never done a makeout scene with a gal with who's topless. And so they cut around it. But,
we never did a scene like that in any of my movies.
We did one makeout scene with Helen.
Yeah, but you never had a topless chick.
No, I would feel too weird.
Oh, stop.
Well, I'm a Catholic prudish guy. For I take my shirt off. Make out with a chick, But
that's crazy.
I have a story I want to tell you. Okay. I don't know if you remember the first time I met you. I don't. You were 20 or 21.
Probably, yeah.
And it was in a stage below Santa Monica.
Okay.
You know where they shot the Golden Girls?
Yeah, wasn't that my offices? Like
Thomas.
Right on Santa Monica near the Formosa Cafe.
It was near there, but it was but the stage you were at was below there.
Okay.
I don't know where your offices was, but I was a friend of was running with Patatki then.
Right.
I had done a pilot, and Michael was in it.
Right.
So Pataki, he said, "Yeah, I should come down. I got to do something." He was doing Cinderella something.
Yeah, that was.
So, and you were this kid, and I mean, really like a young guy, right?
Yeah.
This is 1,000 years ago, and Michael and I ran. We hung together for a while until he was so nuts I could get away from
very
the guy.
nuts, sadly.
Very funny man.
Yeah.
Extremely funny.
Yeah.
And he says, "Yeah, this kid's a director." And then he would do all these great impressions and stuff. But I remember meeting you. And you were like busy doing something. He went, "Yeah, how are you?" You were like this kid.
I was like a dick, I guess.
You know,
That's
you
hilarious.
were like a teenage kid.
Yeah.
You know? But
well,
I think you were 21. If I'm not mistaken.
No, I was probably 20.
You were a young guy.
I was more or less 21, 22. So I had, and this is where you went because I don't remember that, but I know when Pataki would come and go. We had on Santa Monica Boulevard near the Formosa Cafe. I had like kind of sound stages. They were like, it's a warehouse basically. And that's where we shot some of the Cinderella stuff. I shot, what the fuck was it called? Crash with the John Carradine. Fairy Tales. But I was very involved with Michael briefly until he became.
He directed too, did he?
He did. But my first movie, which I buried for a while, then we found the negative, and now, everyone knows that my first movie wasn't Mansion of the Doom with all these wonderful stars and Richard Basehart. It was a weird-ass comedy called Last Foxtrot in Burbank, because I was very close to a writer at the time, Frankie Ray. And he wrote movies like The Doberman Gang, about the Doberman Gang pinchers that go rob a bank, and Little Cigars, which my dad did, about these 7 dwarfs that go rob a bank. He was always into that crazy shit.
Billy Barty stuff?
Yeah. That's another hour here for sure. But, so basically, Pataki kind of came in my life, and that's when we made Cinderella, which did really well. But before that, I was making Last Foxtrot in Burbank, and I remember in that office, Benna, if you remember Benna, my assistant for many years. Yeah. She was originally an art director. Yeah, we were doing our thing there, and Pataki would come in with friends every so often. He'd just come through the door, but I don't remember that. That's because I was probably.
I just think because Mike used to come to see my comedy act.
Okay.
And back then I hadn't formed a real act. I would just get up there and I had Charles Bronson. I could do
Charles Bronson.
Hey, no more Indian parts. No more fucking Indian parts. I'll tell you again. I dug 17 tunnels with my face. But anyway, can't do
more. Who else?
I can do Charles Lawton. I only do dead guys.
Okay.
That's it.
That's good. No, but my favorite. Okay, I remember again. The memory is blurred a bit. But when I saw you before I met you doing stand-up,
my act was so stupid.
I loved. You had a surfer dude that I liked. Surfer guy.
Well, I did. Yeah, that was
kind of a.
Well, no, what it was I did a guy who remember The Source, the restaurant The Source.
Oh, that was fun.
So I used to do a guy who went on a date. And if you remember those guys that worked at The Source, they would all kind of talk like this,
Right.
And on the menu, and they would bring the menu, it would be on a piece of wood. It was like a giant piece of wood that was like etched in.
Like 10 Commandments, I remember.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they always, would you like some organic vegetables? They all kind of talked like that.
Well, that's because The Source was a health food type place.
Right, and every health food restaurant had a guy that, can I help you, sir?
Exactly.
That kind of shit.
We
have an avocado sandwich with some sprouts. And I used to hate that shit.
Me too.
I could not stand it. I want some... You got a hamburger? You got any protein? And I'd honk my unit. And
oh, Tim! No, your stand-up was great. Your act was very funny.
I don't know if that qualifies as a surf guy. But
well, kind of, yeah. It's been a
sort
while.
Of lazy California way of speaking.
Which, and The Source, that was for a while kind of a she health food restaurant.
Yeah, that was like you see guys like Robert Culp in there with a turtleneck and some beads.
That's right. So, so Dom
Captain
Enders.
Bigelow, you wanted to know. You
yes.
wanted to know about Near Dark.
Yes.
Well, Near Dark, when I got that and read it and got the role, she had, I don't know what she had done before, but it was the perfect script when I read it. Eric Red had written the thing, and I thought, God, this is really good. And so it was a different role than I'd ever played. As a veterinarian whose son gets turned into a vampire. It's one of the best vampire movies ever made.
That's
I think
fantastic.
pre-CGI.
Yeah, I saw
Unbelievable.
That. Yeah, but people don't realize
it's just incredible. And
yeah.
Lance Hendrickson and Paxton are brilliant.
Yeah.
Jenny Wright was great. And,
but your character was great too.
Well, the fun thing about that is I played a straight guy,
right?
But I had a little bit of a beef with Catherine. She wanted me to wear bib overalls,
okay.
you know, like you know, with a hay, with a piece of hay out of my throat, sticking out of my face, you know. And I said, well, wait a minute, this guy's an Oklahoma cowboy,
right?
You know, he wouldn't wear bib overalls. He'd be dressed like a cowboy with a baseball hat. And I said, I don't think he should wear that costume. And she said, well, I think he should. I said, well, I disagree. I just don't think it would feed the character. So after that, she never talked to me again.
Really?
She never talked to me. So she left me alone in the scenes, which was great.
That's good.
You know, she just left me alone because I'm pretty handy at that time, you know. But I remember having, you know, such a fun time on that movie, and we were down in Lance, who you've worked with, and you know can be one of the great madmen. He was playing that character, and he never bathed. He stayed in character.
Yeah, that's his shtick.
He had these weird fingernails on.
Mm-hmm.
He's always smoking Marlboros. And we were shooting in a place called Casa Grande, Arizona, which was a real truck stop, and it was a cowboy town. And we were staying in Ramada Inn. Well, real truckers stayed. So I'm eating my breakfast or having a salad or something, and Lance rolls in with these, you know, with his hair extensions, and he looks fucked up. And there's real truckers in here, and he pulls out this 6-shooter.
No.
Yeah, and I'm going,
what?
And he starts twirling it around, so I see these truckers kind of bristle, going, and I went, hey, man, what the fuck are you doing? Yeah, I like to stay in character. I like to stay. He's twirling this fucking thing. I said, put that fucking thing away.
Wow.
I got up and left.
Wow.
And because these other guys are, and he's, you know, spinning this pistol, and these guys are looking at him going, oh, this is fucked up. Because you don't know. You know, most real truckers have some kind of weapon inside their rig. And I'm going, I don't want any part of
plus
this.
the way he looked. I mean,
he looked nuts.
Looked nuts.
Well, apparently, they were doing a night shoot. He and Paxton were still in costume, and they were in a convertible, and an Arizona state trooper pulled them over, like right at dawn.
Oh wow!
And so they're in costume, in character, and this cop pulls him over, and he comes up to him, and they look at him with this and he just said, all right, get the hell out of here. He didn't have anything to do with these guys.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
story.
And another time, Lance was, that's when I was running a lot, so I was getting in my car to go run, and Robert Altman's kid was the set designer on that, Steve Altman. It's a very good movie.
Right.
Anyway, so I'm getting in my car to go run a rig, and all of a sudden I hear the sound of a shotgun, and I went, what the hell? And it's Lance upstairs going, I got you again, man, didn't I? I got you, didn't I, Thomerson? God. He scared the shit out of me. I said, God damn it, don't do that, man. But then later on, we ended up working together, I don't know how many, 5 or 6 times. And the guy's a great madman.
And yeah, wonderful actor. So quick, Lance Hendrickson.
You with the great British.
So
was that
yes,
Pit in the Pendulum?
Yes. So, but winding back to my first official movie, was called Mansion of the Doom, which is a shitty title. It wasn't my title, but anyway. And it was Lance Hendrickson's first movie.
Oh, really?
Lance Hendrickson, and we had just a ridiculous cast. Gloria Graham. Yeah,
wow.
And Richard Basehart, who had won an Academy Award. Richard Basehart.
Yeah,
this was, heavy duty first movie, official horror movie. Because before that, I made Last Foxtrot in Burbank. I tried to erase that shit. Anyway, so that's where I met Lance, and I could see the method and the thing, and he was already in that sort of mindset. But it was a great experience. Andy Davis was my director of photography, and Andrew Davis went on to direct movies like Fugitive.
Chicago.
Chicago.
Really?
And Frank Ray Pirelli, my close writer friend, he co-wrote the script. Anyway, dissolved. Decades later, we're making Pit and the Pendulum in Italy at the castle.
Right.
Starring Lance Hendrickson as Torquemada.
Right.
And
he shaved his head, right?
Shaved his head. And we had, what's the name of the actor? I'm sorry.
Oliver Reed?
Yeah. So
Reed, right?
Yeah, he'll cut this out so I don't look stupid. So anyway, we had Lance Hendrickson, a fantastic cast, and Oliver Reed, who plays this bishop. Okay.
Right, the fiendish bishop.
The fiendish bishop. And the movie turned out terrific. Stewart, my dad was producing because my dad and Stewart had a great relationship, and Stewart needed someone like my dad. Otherwise, we'd be still there shooting the fucking thing. So anyway, Lance is walking around the castle at all hours as Torquemada, right? He's like your story, just totally in character. But what is his name again?
Oliver Reed.
So I'm going to pick this up. So Lance is walking around the castle like Torquemada, totally in character. But then once or twice during those weeks that we were there, Oliver Reed, I wouldn't say Oliver Reed one-upped his shtick, because Oliver Reed was not method at all.
No.
But we would sit down at dinner with the cast, and there was probably 12 people. I mean, Jeffrey Combs. We had a lot of people there in the movie, and Stewart, and the Italian main guys, and it was like those tables at the castle, right. 24 people. This is a terrible story to tell, but Oliver Reed's gone. So anyway, so Oliver and Lance were sort of at the head of the table, and when Oliver started talking, he was very erudite, and Lance kind of became quiet. He was still Torquemada, but my Italian guys who worked for me there would say, Charlie, did you ever wonder how he could sit for 4 hours, Oliver Reed, whereas everyone every hour would go to the bathroom? He never left the table, and he drank like fucking crazy.
Right,
he would get up in the morning at the castle, because we stayed at the castle, and he would go down to the bar and drink beer. And then he would drink wine, and at night, copious amounts of booze. But when he was on camera, you would never know. He was just dead on perfect. So back to the story, we're having dinner, and I'm like moderate guy. I'm like a little whatever. I said, okay, good night, everyone. Hey, join me. Night, see you later, Lance, is Torquemada. And Oliver is holding court. So finally, after everyone left, and we wrapped the movie, my guys said, we didn't want to say it when you were working. But the reason why Oliver never left the table is he had rigged a big jar, and every hour or so he'd pee in the fucking jar. And then he would leave it, of course, and then the dinner was over. There'd be like 2 or 3 jars of pee, right?
Oh, man.
Never left the table. He sat there for hours.
Well, he died he died in a bar on Gladiator.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah,
really?
He passed away in a bar on the movie Gladiator.
Oh, I didn't know he was in a bar. Jesus,
I believe so, yeah.
Anyway.
Am I right? Did you hear that? Yeah.
Thank God there's someone here who knows this shit.
But he was, unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
His Carol Reed was his uncle.
Okay, yeah.
The director who directed the Third Man theme.
Right.
The Third Man. The Third Man with Orson Welles, right?
Right. Well, he didn't. I don't know. Anyway,
Carol Reed directed that movie with
Orson Welles.
With Welles. And he also had something to do with RADA.
Okay.
Starting American.
All right.
And Reed didn't study acting. He never went to. He wasn't a theater guy. He was a movie guy. He started in movies.
Okay.
With Hammer stuff,
Right.
Like little small time guys, and then eventually, I mean, the guy was a great actor.
But it was amazing to everyone how he would snap out of whatever
and do it
and just dead on. Knew his lines.
How do those guys do that? I don't know. Drink and work. I could never.
I have no idea, but you drank when you had to do the booby stuff, right?
But just a couple of sips of vino to get her loosened up. But I was really uncomfortable doing that.
Was that the only scene you ever had with a woman with booby? Yeah, that was it in your whole career?
Yeah. I never either. I got shot, or like the third guy who got killed, or came in and brought a sandwich and they killed me.
What about Air America? Well, I forget that.
I had no chick in Air America.
Nothing.
No. I was just
no chicks anywhere. What about the transfers in Romania?
There was. Well, I had to kiss Megan.
Okay.
And then
Lucky you.
Kissed Hunt in the first one.
Yes,
but it was never like The only one I ever did was a TV show called Silk Stockings. And it was a real makeout scene.
Oh, good.
And it was a super hot blonde.
Right.
And, I mean, really fine.
Right.
They always had some hot gals on that show.
Right.
And it was and she was, acting hot.
Yeah, acting hot.
And I'm trying to be Mr. Cool.
But were your boobies out?
No. I had
you had a T-shirt on?
No, I was all buttoned down. I was all tied up. I was, making out in my office.
Right.
This girl's,
I see.
My secretary.
So that was
and I said something like, "You're an animal," some stupid ass line like that you had to try to make work,
that's
which
hilarious.
I did by going, "You're an animal." But that's the only time. No, I never.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, I just never.
Because you were either like Doll Man, Jack Death, somebody got
pretty
shot.
character stuff.
Yeah,
Mostly character guys. If you look back on this.
Tim, you have something sitting here that I've been looking at. They can't see it, but
yes, hand that to me.
I'm going to hand it right to you.
This is I don't know. This is this is what when I joined the priesthood. This is a prototype. Mm-hmm. This is a prototype of
Jack Death.
Jack Death dressed as Doll Man. Oh, no cigarette, no gun, got no dick, and he's just a lonely, scared guy, and he's my buddy.
But he's looking good. You guys look exactly the same now.
Hey, I kind of look like a little Bronson.
No, he looks great. Yeah, this was a prototype we made years ago.
We got a light Brando with a Dennis Hopper back.
How do you know there's no dick?
Well, I didn't really look. But,
no, don't.
No. Do I have an ass? Yeah, I got an ass.
This is the perfect way to end this because you're looking at your character as a little toy. It's like a little toy.
I finally made it. I have my own toy.
That's right. We got to make those up.
Oh, shit.
That was actually pretty cool. Tim, all I can say is that we have to dream something up where maybe you and Jeffrey Combs.
Well, that would be
what could that actually be?
Very much.
What could it be? You and Jeffrey. Okay, now you're, as we say in Italy, you're not older. You're just more mature. So is Jeffrey. So what can you guys do that would make any sense?
Some bumbling detective kind of period bowler wearing.
That makes sense.
Cape kind of thing.
Could there be girls with boobies?
Well, sure. There's got to be. It could be one of those rom-com for old guys.
There's something like that.
But it would have to have some sort of European thing, since he's kind of a European guy, isn't he? With his Poe. Well, Poe was an American, but it could be something gothic.
Yeah.
But comedy gothic, because the guy. Okay. I don't know if people really know or have seen how funny that man really is.
They haven't seen the funny Jeffrey
It's like
Combs.
when I worked, Lance Hendrickson, we did this mockumentary called Bring Me the Head of Lance Hendrickson.
Oh, right,
It's still out there. Michael Worth, his kid, shot it. Mm-hmm. And it's just he and I talking, and I can't figure out why he's always working and I'm not working anymore.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that existed.
Yeah, it's out there in the
video. Okay.
In the thing in the Uber phone.
Right.
In the inner tube.
It's in the inner tube.
In the inner tube.
That's where we're heading. we're going to the inner tube. I think I love it.
Well, it's so invasive. I got this phone, and my wife puts my name on it.
Right.
Joseph Thomerson is my Joseph Timothy.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Joseph Timothy. Joseph Timothy Thomerson.
Okay.
Irish,
Yeah.
And so, but Tim is a kid, So I'm looking at this phone. It's got my name in it.
You mean
in
where?
the phone? It
comes up.
Joseph Thomerson, Gmail. I don't want my name in these things. They're sending me all kinds of shit. But, the only thing I ever look at is surf videos and old movies, and maybe some stupid thing about an MMA guy that got shot.
Well, it's the inner tube.
It's the inner tube.
It's the fucking inner tube.
The inner tube.
So we're gonna have to follow through with Jeffrey. But why not? We could
and Adrian. Bring Adrian there just for the hell of it.
Anyway, I love you a lot, dude.
Well, I love
you are
Charlie,
awesome. Thanks for
coming,
being part of this. Seriously,
Thank you very much. And
I know everyone watching is appreciative and loves those characters you played.
Thank you, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Ciao, baby. Ciao a tutti.
Andiamo, tutte le box.